Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. With the Sri Sadguru's grace, I want to talk about some ideas of Sadguru which correspond with the Pathanjali Rishi's ideas also, and to talk about them extensively. But tell me after 20 minutes. So, with Sadguru's grace, we will talk generally about those ideas today, and since with the Sadguru's grace, I hope to be in Chennai the whole of this month. On every Monday we will take up these ideas of Sadguru's and talk about it. So with Sadguru's grace, these ideas, what Sadguru has told us, again and again, there was anything that Sadguru told us, it was that there are 4 pillars in Sri Peetam, and those 4 pillars are Ahimsa, Dharma, Satya, Ahimsa, Satya, Dharma, and Saucha or Bhava Samshuddhi. Bhava Samshuddhi is purity of intention. So, and Pathanjali in the Yoga Sutras, when he is teaching, he says, same thing which as Sadguru, he says, Ahimsa first. Ahimsa, Satya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha and Asteyam. So all these ideas I want to talk about one by one. And with stories from Sadguru's life illustrating these things. So it's very interesting that both Sadguru and the Rishi, both of them give the first place to Ahimsa always. And when you think about that also, you see that how Ahimsa is given the first place. And Krishna also, he says in Mahabharata again and again, more than anything else, for me, the most important thing is the preservation of human life. That we should be able to preserve human life. So, when we look at that and we see that there is a convergence, I'm sorry, Sri Krishna did not say preservation of human life, he said preservation of life. So he looked at all life as being interconnected and everybody as being equally important. So on one side, when Abhimanyu died, it must have been very difficult for him because Abhimanyu grew up in his house. And the other Upapandavas, when they died, it must have been very difficult because when they were in their early teens, they moved to his house and stayed there to learn the use of weapons. So it must have been very difficult. But yet he concentrates on what the work which is in hand, that is the protection of Arjuna. Because Arjuna said publicly that I will kill Jayadatta by sunset tomorrow, otherwise I will kill myself. So he said, he pulled up Arjuna very much. He said that, by now what you have said to the whole group of people standing here, you have said, that would have, through the spies, reached Duryodhana. So all he has to do in order to kill you is to keep Jayadatta safe. And which was what Duryodhana did. He did that, he covered Jayadratha with layers and layers of warriors to protect him. And Sri Arjuna said to him, Tava prasadat Bhagavan, by your grace, by your prasadam, kim navapta marane mama. What is there that I will not attain in battle? That is his swadharma. So he says that by filling my swadharma, what I am doing, by making it part of your work, by your grace, there is nothing which I will not attain. There are no limits to achievement. So, the next day we see all this being tested. Whether it is possible for him to keep Sri Krishna's grace. All these years he has been, he says, Bhaktosi me Saka. Bhagavan says to, Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, Bhagavan says to him, you are my devotee and you are my friend. He also says that you are very devoted to, you are very beloved of me. Ishtosi me dridamati. Very much dridam, strong love and affection I have for you. So Bhagavan says all this to him, and then Bhagavan said that morning when he was preparing for them to go into battle, Bhagavan said, today all the beings of the worlds, whether they are from the higher worlds or from the lower worlds, whether they are from this world, whether they are the Kauravas or the Pandava group, all of them will know me as the friend of Arjuna. So Bhagavan himself, he doesn't want anything higher than to be known as the Bhaktavatsala, as that the person who is devoted to the devotee. So we see Bhagavan there in a very different light. He is not the commanding person. He is not the humble servant whom Sudama saw. He is a person who is filled with joy at the thought of his devotee, and he is also filled with his loyalty to the devotee also. So he is not going to be without protecting Arjuna, but also he wants to show, he thinks that is the most important thing for him, the protection of Arjuna and the success of Arjuna's plans. So for him, he is just like Arjuna says that I don't know what should I do, I am your disciple, I have surrendered to you, teach me, I am your, and take me out of this ignorance. Similarly, Bhagavan says that my happiness, my joy, I want to be known as the friend of Arjuna. So this is what Bhagavan says in the Gita earlier, that he who sees me everywhere and sees me in everything, from him I am not separated. So that Nara and Narayana at that time, they became one, they came together. And we see Bhagavan's joy in his devotee. He is so happy to think about his devotee. So when Bhagavan says that, Bhagavan was looking at Arjuna, at how to protect him, how to see that what he wanted happened. And Arjuna, he didn't have any thought of anything else. So as they were going ahead to searching for Jayadratha, then people came, they stood in the way for a Kshatriya to be challenged and to keep quiet and not respond. That is a very difficult thing. Yet, challenge after challenge, Arjuna ignored, Arjuna avoided, because he kept his eyes on the Lakshya. What was the Lakshya? The killing of Jayadartha. That was the most important thing, most important duty for him, and he didn't think of anything else. So Bhagavan, his Swarupa is to be part of the devotee. He is not complete without the devotee. So we always see, even when he is in Yoga Nidra, then at that time also Lakshmi is there with him. So this is his nature. His nature is to be part of the devotee. And Arjuna going ahead, going forward into this battle, into this, he was not diverted from his. How many minutes over? Right? 9, 10. So then Bhagavan was not diverted from his teaching. From him, Bhagavan was at all times conscious of the basic purpose. That was that Arjuna should reach Jayadartha on time. Arjuna was conscious that he has to follow Bhagavan, he has to do what it is, and as he goes forward, he has to consider nothing of importance except Jayadartha, that he has to reach Jayadartha, he has to do it. And yet we see Bhagavan, as he is going, he stops, and Arjuna takes up the protection so that no one comes close by. And Bhagavan stops, he gives water to the horses, he gives them food to eat, he wipes them down because they'll be sweaty and dusty, and he refreshes them and goes on. So that is something which unfortunately in India we have forgotten, that everything around us also is God, that we should also pay attention to all that we see around us. So we see that the cow is very important to us, we show so much of respect to the cow. But the average cow is very malnourished, very hungry, and left to die at times. So that is something which is very shameful about us, that we are not considering everything else. For example, when we live, when we walk about on the road, if we don't need something, we just crush it and throw it on the side. And then the Prime Minister has to go there and say that we have to clean the... Is this something what Prime Minister should do, be telling us to clean the houses, to keep our place clean? This is not there. But if we are going to be considerate about other people, if we are going to be thinking about the world and looking after it, then we won't be doing it. We will be careful by ourselves. When we get down, if we take the paper that we have in our hands and either take it, put it in the dustbin, or keep it with us and later go and throw it out, then it's not much of an effort. But then you are going against yourself. The nature is to take the easy way out. But the Shastras, we don't need the Prime Minister to tell us. The Shastras have told us each person must look after their own area of the... see, for example, everybody in the morning, they used to sweep the road in front of their house and they used to put kolam. So everybody, they did it. The road was swept by itself. There is no necessity for a person to come and sweep. Similarly, also about throwing things on the road, about people defecating on the road, all these things. That is mentioned by Lakshmana in the Ramayana, that people, they should be treated who do these sort of things, who break trees unnecessarily. All these things, people who do such things, they should be treated with contempt. That's what Lakshmana says in the... There was a very nice article in Voice Divine long ago by one Mr. Rangachari, which we will reprint, in which he discusses civic sense in the Shastras. So, we must... So these things which Bhagavan does is out of consideration for everybody, out of thought for everybody. If he removes Kaliya from the river, on one side, he sees that the water is not polluted, that there is water for people. On the other side, he sees that Kaliya is given an alternate place to stay, that Kaliya is given protection for his life, and that Kaliya is safe. He must look after both the Yamuna and the people living there, the Gopas. At the same time, this Kaliya, who is not a sattvic being, he must also be taken care of. Everybody belongs to Bhagavan, not only the good person or the bad person. So, it reminds me of what Sathguru said about what Pastor said. No, this man has done so many bad things and all that. The whole night I was sitting and praying to God that he should be punished, and now this morning is coming, he is not punished, and like this. So then Sadhguru said, just like you, that man is also God's child. Even if he is a bad man, he may be a bad child, but he is God's child. So there is no reason for you to expect God to throw him aside just because you pray to God. God is not your hitman. He is not your idea to go and beat somebody up because you don't like him. So just by a prayer, you can't buy him up and make him do your dirty work. So like this, we see Bhagavan concerned about everybody in the world. He goes on the road, he finds a lady with a hunchback. He helps her and lifts her up and makes her straight again. He sees somebody who's taking advantage, that washerman, the dhobi of Kamsa's, he's taking advantage of his position and ill-treating other people. He immediately steps in and puts him down. So, same thing we saw many years ago, because at that time there was a state of emergency in India. That in Haryana, the Chief Minister's milkman, he quarrelled with somebody, and he went to the police there and said, I am this man's, the Chief Minister's milkman. This man has to be arrested. They arrested him and kept him in jail for 2 years. So these sort of things which Bhagavan saw also, he put down. He did not allow it. So generally, if we look at, with Sadhguru's grace, the life of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, we see so many things which are relevant to us. And so Arjuna says, after doing this, which Bhagavan considered to be foolishness, Arjuna says, I will attain everything by your grace. But how does Arjuna get that grace? He's not just saying that you got to bless me, you have to do it. He goes along with Krishna. Whatever Krishna says, he does. And when he sees that, it's impossible for him to reach Jayadatta and the sun would shortly be setting. He doesn't despair, he doesn't get upset. He asks Krishna, he feels very bad. Arjuna is like us, he feels bad about things. He wants things, he has got things which he wants to attain. But at the same time, he looks to Bhagavan for what to do. So at that time, Bhagavan says, I will cover the sun. You should, he specifies the type of arrow. He says, take that arrow, cut Jayadratha's head, and with successive arrows ensures that it falls far away. So, he does that without a thought. He doesn't think that's going to be difficult, that in the dark which comes, how will I do it? He doesn't think, how will Krishna make it dark now? The sun is not yet set. He's told, he does it. So because of that, Sathguru said, there is place in your mind for the ego and for Bhagavan. If you're going to keep the ego in it, keep your desires in it, then it's not that Bhagavan doesn't want to come. There's no place for him to come, that's all. So we must make the place for Bhagavan to come. So, step by step, we have to take Bhagavan with us. We have got a journey to make. We have got a place to reach. And then we must go on that path. And when we go on that path, 20. And when we go on that path, then we must see, are we taking God along with us? Are we going on the path where God is going, or are we going somewhere else? Are our desires taking us here or taking us there? So there are 5 things which cause us difficulty. Again and again I keep repeating to Sathguru, like that verse. That is what the Rishi says in the Yoga Sutras. 5 afflictions we have to bear. One is ignorance. From that ignorance comes this idea of I and mine. From that I and mine comes I like, I don't like. Finally is, since I like, I don't like, and I am here, I should remain like this. There should not be any change, except in a way which I like, except in which it removes the things that I don't like. So this I like, I don't like, that I am this person, this with these ideas, with these likings, dislikings. So that decides things for us. So when we look, this idea of I like, I don't like, the idea of I am this person, these 3 things, they decide where the eyes will look. It decides what the ears will hear. There will be so many things happening. But our mind is on to what we want to hear. So many sounds are there, but we are waiting for that. There are so many ringtones, but minute our ringtone comes, we know it and we pick it up. We immediately get it. Why? Because that belongs to me. That is my asmita. That ringtone belongs to me. That is part of who I am. So therefore, my mind goes to that. My ears hear that. If I don't hear it, then I get worried. Why is it not run? So all these things are the way in which the liking and disliking, the sense of who I am, it controls the senses. We say senses are bad and all that. But actually senses are not bad. They say that we should have freedom from the senses. But then we must also give freedom to the senses. The eye is looking like that. The eye can just look where it wants. You are inside. You are not going to make the eye look at the things which we want to look at. We want to hear. Let all the sounds come. Let us absorb all the sounds. Why only the sound we want? It's because the mind can look only in one direction. Where I want to look, where I want to hear. where I want to see. That's what happens. While Bhagavan is Sarvatomukha, all sides he is facing, all sides he is looking. Everything belongs to him equally, and everything he takes to himself as his own. And when he does that, then he is telling us, like how he tells Arjuna, you are my disciple, you are my friend. Like how he told Arjuna, you are very beloved of me, I love you very much, therefore come to me, follow me, merge yourself with me. So these things which Bhagavan says to Arjuna, he is also saying to us. But the difference is, Arjuna was listening. Arjuna was conscious also that whatever he does, whatever he achieves, is coming through Bhagavan. Tava prasadat Bhagavan. By your grace, Bhagavan. So, we should all be, in our way, Arjunas and follow what the Guru said, what Bhagavan said. There are some small things which Sathguru wanted from us. Sathguru said, spend a little time reading the Gita every day. Spend a little time reading Bhagavatam. These are things we can do. We can in between grab a few moments and then do that. So I was reminded of Arjuna and Sri Krishna today. Because Sri Lata Igneshwar called me yesterday morning and she said her mother had passed away. And one of the things which Gomati auntie had done was to tell her children to come to Sathguru. Tell her grandchildren to come to Sathguru. She didn't need to do anything more than that for them, because that was the best thing. And why this Arjuna came up is because Sathguru once told Sri Lata, be an Arjuna. So that is what Sathguru is telling us. See, yesterday Upadesham is what Sathguru told me when I was going out for a discourse. Tell them that Sathguru says it's not difficult to be good. It is not difficult to be good, but we don't think so. We think it's difficult to do this, it's difficult to do that. It's why? Because we are standing like that in the way. Because our egos, our likes, our dislikes are standing in the way of being good. But we naturally are good, we just have to allow that to happen. We don't have to allow these things to come in the way. So Gomati Mami was a devotee of Sathguru from the 70s. Her brother brought her to Sathguru. I am not sure whether it was in Kanchipuram or whether it was in Mylapore when Sathguru was staying. But then over the years she has been coming to Sathguru. And she had lots of time when her cousin Mr. Shivaswamy and all of them would sit with Sathguru and talk with Sathguru in 79-80 and all the Sathguru would sit and talk with them about what life will be after retirement, because all of them had just come out of service and were adjusting to retirement life, and it was quite traumatic for everybody. So Sathguru was talking with them about them. I remember many times Sathguru would tell them to come and sit with them and talk with them. And as the years went on, Gomati Mami's attachment to Sathguru increased. But the time she spent talking with Sathguru also progressively came down. She got older, she found it difficult to come, or when she came, she would be just sitting there looking at Sathguru. But progressively it became more and more. So, with the Sathguru's grace, she had the Anayasa Mena Marnam she wanted, and she also did not suffer much. Similarly, also Mrs. Saroja Kalyana Sundaram and Mr. Rajendran. Rajendran is a devotee of Sadhguru in Coimbatore. None of you all would have seen him. But he's come occasionally and seen Sadhguru and spent time with me talking about Sadhguru. He had a very difficult life. His wife also has a very difficult life. But with Sadhguru's grace, the support from her siblings are considerable. So she is able to manage. He had a very sudden death and he passed away. But fortunately it was immediate. And Saroja Mami has been coming to Sadhguru from the 1980. When Sadhguru went to Rama Samaj and gave darshan there for 5 days, when Lalita became a devotee and her parents. So from that time she has been coming to Sadhguru over the years. Very happy-go-lucky person. And willing to accept anything from Sadhguru. Sadhguru for some time distanced herself from Saroja Mami because of some problems which were created and which Saroja Mami was unconsciously associated with, and which was made an issue by another person who knew Saroja Mami in earlier days. But her belief in Sadhguru continued. Her desire to serve Sadhguru in whichever way continued until her death. Her daughter-in-law told me that her main regret was that because her health wasn't very good, she couldn't come to Sri Peetam as much as she could. So sometimes it is given to us to know the value of Sri Peetam only when it's difficult for us. Some people like Pankajama may know that from at every moment the value of Sri Peetam. That is a question of Purva Janma Punyam and also giving ourselves the correct mental training of thinking correctly. That is something which we must have. We must be able to think for ourselves. Think correctly, Narayana, Narayana. Think correctly and to hold Sadhguru's feet. What does Bhagavan say about who he likes? He says, Mat karma krit, he who does work for me. Mat paramo, who keeps me as the first priority, thinks of me as most important. Mat bhakta, who relates to me as a devotee, not as a person, just a stone in the temple. He thinks God is there and I am his devotee. So that relationship is there between, on one side God, one side him. How do we see the world normally? We see us. We see a lot of other people whom we like, we don't like, all that we see. And in the background, God is there. But it's not like that. God is most important thing. It's because of his life that everything else is there. Because he's giving us his blessings that we are able to survive. Can you just imagine the sun was not shining? What life would there be in the world? Nothing. Nothing would be there. So it's all Bhagavan's grace that we are able to live and survive. Mat karmakrit, mat paramo, mat bhakta, sangha varjita, going above attachment, association. This belongs to me because I have been, it belongs to me because I have been keeping it for some time. This is something which I have been doing, so therefore I must always do it. I do this work today, so I must do it tomorrow and nobody else must do it. So, all these things happen to sadhakas. As we go on sadhana, we should be throwing things away. But human nature is such that we hold things onto us. That's the abhinivesha. So we hold that. And because of that, what we are holding, we are unable to open our hands and God to give us more things. So, When I went to Kamal's house, I saw how she's, all what she keeps preaching to me, how she's practicing, how she doesn't keep anything which she does not use. If she doesn't need it, she doesn't use it, she gives it out to somebody. So they have minimal books in the house, only the books which they read. Like that, everything is just what they need and what they use, and nothing is built up and cluttered up. So now come back to this. This is Madbhakta Sanghavarjita. This idea of association, this idea of attachment which comes to us, all that is to be gone beyond. He's not saying it's going to be the easy, but he said you have to go beyond it. Nirvaira sarva bhuteshu. Doesn't have any feeling to anybody. He understands how useless these feelings of like and dislike are. And so he goes to God. So this is what it is, what Sathguru said, these 4 pillars of Sri Peetam. These are the 4 pillars not only of Sri Peetam, these are the 4 pillars of Hinduism, these are the 4 pillars of any religion, these are the 4 pillars by which society can stand, and without these pillars, it will be, society will crumble, the world will crumble and it will be destroyed. So Sathguru made it something very personal, very close to us, he said. For us Sri Peetam people, these are the pillars which will uphold your life. These are the pillars of Sri Peetam which you must also uphold in your life. It must not only be there to look after us. See, Dharma protects those who protect it. So we must protect Dharma. We must bring these pillars and live on the roof of Sadhguru's grace, under that roof, based on those pillars, that we have kept these pillars in our life. And on that Sadhguru will give us the roof of our grace. Once one devotee who was not a sattvic person, he got into a lot of problems. Then Sadhguru just said one line, see what happens when you leave the umbrella of God's protection. So with Sadhguru's grace, we should always be, when we do the Pada Puja, we offer a silver umbrella to Sadhguru. That umbrella is kept over her Paduka, or if we say the way she wanted, there's always an argument between her and me. I said it's her Paduka and she says Krishna's Paduka. So if we hold it above that and we bring it, it is telling us that from Sadhguru's Padam comes that umbrella of protection. And may that always be over all of us. Shri Sadhguru Arpanamastu, Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.